Hello, my name is Charlie Brande, and I feel very fortunate to have a very, very competent and competitive coach with us, coach at Corona Del Mar High School, Katey Thompson. We're going to do a little question-answer thing, let her explain about her program, what she's done. She's been very, very successful there, and I know will continue to be successful wherever she's coaching. Katey, tell me, what does your team look like now?
Okay. So we've been practicing for about 2.5 weeks consistently. We had our first match last night against Maricosta.
They're good.
Yeah, it was a very bold choice for me to start the year off.
Who scheduled that?
Yeah, who did that? I'm going to blame Sam, the assistant.
Yeah, okay.
So they are a powerhouse this year. But it was really good for our team because we were able to get a sense of who we are and where we're at. And I'm a big believer in scheduling the best teams, compete with the best teams if you want to be the best. And so we have a long to-do list of what we need to work on. But right now we're inexperienced. We're rebuilding a little bit. We have some new pieces coming together. We have Drake Foley, who was a DS right side for us last year, has now stepped into a setting role. We have a transfer from Chicago who's stepping into an outside, and we've quite a few JV players who are stepping up to the plate too. So it was kind of a culture shock for our team last night, but I think that we are showing promise.
Well, one of the things about your coaching I've noticed over the years is you're always great about making adjustments and taking players to a new position where they fit in and they're comfortable and they're successful with it. It sounds like that's what's going to happen here too.
Absolutely. We focus on being the best volleyball players that we can. And so working on those fundamentals so we're able to have anybody play any position and get our best 6 players, 7 players on the court.
I'm always impressed with your coaching staff. Who's with you this year?
This year, Sam Stafford is back. He is our assistant, so it's been really fun to get to coach with him.
One of the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have Nick Hannemann, who's coming on this year, helping out, and Aubrey Caires, who's our JV coach. So she's helping out in the varsity gym as well.
Oh, that's great. What do you think are some of the adjustments you may have to make through the season? Obviously, Drake Foley now is setting, so that's going to be something new. What are some other ones you're going to have to make?
It's probably going to be serving-wise, who's doing what, jump serving, float serving. We have such a great group of kids. And so one of the biggest areas is going to be just that level of competition and who's rising confidence-wise. Like I said, we're inexperienced, so we don't necessarily know. We're still moving all the pieces around, and I mean, from years past, we had an outside come in and play middle, and that took us pretty far last year. So it's a great group that's willing to do anything it takes to benefit the team.
Well, Sterling Foley, for those that understand high school volleyball, was one of the most outstanding high school players of all time.
Right.
And his 4-year term is finished, and he's at SC starting and playing very well. So you're going to have to make some more adjustments to fill in just for Sterling's presence. Not just play-wise, but his understanding of the game.
Absolutely. So it was really evident last night how much he did for our team. So yes, he was a physical athlete, and he was a great source of offense for us. But what he was able to do blocking-wise, whether it was pushing our middles out, going out there, or whether it was even blocking in the middle, calling out the defense, that was a massive part. It was taking pressure off of our other hitters. So that's going to be one of the biggest adjustments for we have 3 returning starters that are in their same spots. And so Daniel Booker and Brady Gant are returning middle and right side respectively. And they're not going to have one-on-ones anymore. So it was really fortunate that Sterling, being outside last year, was able to take a lot of the opponent's focus. And so Ryan Gant, our previous setter, was able to then give one-on-ones to Daniel Booker or Brady Gant.
Right.
And so that pressure is, that was on Sterling, is no longer there. So we have to really work on developing those hitters even more so.
Well, I love that move last year when you moved Reed McMillan into the middle. He'd been an outside hitter, And then his communication with Sterling was really critical for your success blocking-wise through the course of the year.
Yeah.
Who do you see like that this year?
Our transfer, Ben Brown from Chicago, he's already shown that he's able to help out. So last night we had AC, who's in middle for us. He just got back
AC.
from Aiden Cole.
Oh, okay,
Aiden Cole.
okay,
Yeah. We call him AC.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. I know.
And so he just got back from basketball because Jack Robinson, who transferred last year from Mater Dei, is still not eligible due to CIF. And so Aiden Cole came in, and Ben Brown was basically telling Aiden where to go.
Yeah.
He was taking the one, having Aiden go out to the outside, helping out that way. So he's carrying a brunt of the load right now.
Right. It's nice to have a guy transfer in and be able to bring that to the game.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you were a great player at Newport Harbor and very successful at UC Santa Barbara, but you lived through 4 Battle of the Bays. Mm-hmm. What did you take from the 4 battles? You were 4-0, as I remember.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want to bring up the
100% 4-0.
Corona.
And I make sure the
You were
CDM
playing
boys
against
know
Corona
that.
then.
Yeah.
Okay.
I make sure that my athletes know that. Like, hey, I have never lost a Battle of the Bay.
Right.
As a player.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
Battle of the Bay is absolutely electric. It is such a community game where it's you're across the net from your best friends that you play with all year round because of the local club that is here. And so I remember back then we played back then as if like I'm like super old.
Like
I'm not that old.
I can say back when. You can't say back when.
And so back then we only played them once. And so it was once a year. So it was a huge game. You alternated each year.
Those playing sites.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so my senior year, we played at Newport Harbor. And so I remember we went to 5th sets. The gym's absolutely packed. Ann Yardley, I don't know why this just came to mind. Ann Yardley gave us signs to hand out in the crowd. And there was like an alligator sign. There was the roofing co. There was like a telephone booth. I have no idea what that sign is for.
How great is Ann Yardley?
Yeah.
With everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
She's the best.
So she would hand those out, so they had those signs in. But I remember the 5th set, all of a sudden, everybody on our right, because we're on the alma mater side, everyone was on the right, disappeared. No idea where they went because we're playing. All of a sudden, everyone is on the balcony.
Great.
Just heckling Corona Del Mar in that 5th set.
There's heckling at this match?
Never.
Okay.
You could hear a pin drop.
Oh, yeah, right.
Standing room only, and then we win the 5th set. The entire crowd comes rushing down. And one of the cool things we did that year at Newport is we paid tribute to the 99, 98 state championship teams. We had Taylor Govars was one of our assistant coaches. Mm-hmm. And so we
had a girl named April on that team, right?
Yeah,
April Ross.
April Ross. Yeah, you might have heard
I remember
of her.
her.
Yeah. And so after every game we won, we would sing the alma mater. And so
at home.
And Dan Glenn, very classy guy, would not let us sing the alma mater at away games. So we would sing on the bus. And then we would sing. So after we won at home, we all got in our circle, holding hands, singing the alma mater. And it was really cool because it was the entire crowd just surrounding and singing the alma mater with us. And it's just one of those things you look back on that just doesn't happen anywhere else unless it's Battle of the Bay.
Yeah. You talk about the standing room only crowd, and then all the students that are there, they're all there, right? I remember that because I was doing the PA for that match. They're all there, and there's such an electric feeling of team. And yet those guys on the other side of the net are all your friends.
Oh, yeah. And they have just as many supporters there, too. It's everyone comes out.
I always like the former players that are back for years.
Oh, yeah.
20, 30 years ago that come back for that match to watch that.
There was something that Steve Conte, they hosted it that year. I think it was my senior year. They did a decades Battle of the Bay.
Oh.
And so it was like you had your 2010 boys teams, and then you had, all the college players came back. They couldn't play. But then you had the 90s teams, the 80s teams. And I remember Weston Nielsen and I were reffing. And I'm the up ref. And I'm just trying not to get taken out on this ref stand by some of the dads who are running through.
Yeah.
But it just shows just how much the community loves Battle of the Bay and how invested they are to come out. And I mean, we had ice packs galore after it for everyone who was older and coming back to play.
I hate to tell you this, but I've seen torn Achilles tendons in the warm-ups for those alumni games.
Absolutely.
Because that movement is so awkward. How do you think this year's team will handle the Battle of the Bay?
Going into the Battle of the Bay, we always tell them, have fun. This is something they'll never really experience again. And we want to make sure that they're having the best time possible. Like, obviously, we want to win, but take a moment to enjoy the experience. And, coming off last year, we won. We swept Newport at Newport on my birthday. Just saying.
Yeah.
And so, really excited for what the Newport podcast will be
when
I hear that.
That'll be interesting.
And so I'm excited for when the next game's at Newport. I think it's March 12th. And it's going to be a really great time. They're a competitive group. They, lost Riggs last year, which was a big part of their offense.
He's not lost. He's at UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah, he's thriving.
Starting for them, playing
he's
very
doing
well.
He's doing quite well.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a bounce back year for both programs.
Right.
And I think that they're going to Newport always puts out a fantastic team. They have great coaching over there, great kids. Their boys come support our boys when...
Most of them play together in the offseason.
Yeah, and so when Newport doesn't have a match, they're at our matches supporting our boys. I've gone to quite a few Newport matches, and my boys are there too supporting theirs.
Yeah.
So it's just that rivalry, but it's not aggressive until we step on the court. Other than that, it's friendly. We sit together at Best of the West.
Right. I always notice there's a little extra talking under the net from the two teams.
I have no idea what you're talking about. My boys don't talk under the net.
Yeah, you never did either, by the way.
No,
Katey.
absolutely not. Yeah.
I got it. It's so exciting that everyone knows about it. They all want to come. They all want to see it. One of the things I've noticed about your program, as you've done at Corona Del Mar, is the closeness of varsity, junior varsity, and frosh soft teams. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows the coaches. So as they come up, they're prepared to step into that next level. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So we do the off-season beach beginning of the year, and then we go straight into lifting. And
So they play on the beach.
Yeah, so it's part of the Orange Coast Volleyball League.
Yeah, the Dan Glenn.
The Dan Glenn puts
runs.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has Huntington, Edison, all the beach schools.
Yeah.
And so
it's doubles on the beach.
Correct. And then there's a fours match as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
fours match. That's the best game.
It is.
Fours
It's
is
a
a
really
great
great
game.
time. Yeah. So Newport won this year, I believe. So. Well, we talked about it. We moved on. And so all of our boys, they practice together in that, and then we move into lifting. And so lifting is from frosh soft to varsity. We're all in that room. So I put them in different groups based on lifting ability. So it's how much weight they can put on the bar. So they're intermixed, rather than just keeping it isolated between the three teams. So the boys really start to learn who they are, who each of them are. And then I also make sure to tell our captains, to tell our seniors, returning players, hey, why don't you go suggest this to one of our freshmen? So just kind of help them and give them that little olive branch to extend, because that goes a really long way when you're a freshman and a senior is coming to say, hey, just make sure you're twisting this back on the bar.
Yep.
Anything along those lines. So
that's awesome. Now, I know your family very well. Katey's got three sisters. They're all athletes. Two of them were outstanding volleyball players also. Mom and dad are very, very competitive.
Yeah.
Let's just do a little survey about who's best in the Thompson family, quickly. Who's the best swimmer?
My dad.
Your dad. He
My
was
dad.
a good swimmer.
Yeah.
Who's the best volleyball player?
Oh, definitely me.
Who wins most of the time in arguments?
I think it's between Tori and I. We're both very stubborn.
Yes, very stubborn.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it might be me, though. I might win that one, just since she's not here to defend
That's
her
true.
title.
That's true. How about Casey? Does Casey just get left out? She's pretty competitive, too.
Casey's very competitive. She is more of our peacemaker. So her and Tristan kind of play that side. Tristan more so with Tori. Casey just overall.
Just so you know, when you go to the Thompson household and you have dinner, you've got to be very competitive or you don't get any food. There's nothing left. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to bring up about your program that you're excited about this season? Games you're going to play, matches?
I'm just really excited to see how we continue to develop. We know our boys really well. We watch a lot of film. We're filming in practice, working on fundamentals. So I always really enjoy seeing the progress from beginning of the year to the end of the year and telling the boys the emphasis on the process, not necessarily the end result. That's going to come in time, but if we're working on and achieving what we need to now, that's going to propel us to play our best volleyball in May.
Yeah, that's great. Great overlook. Tournaments. What tournaments are you playing in this year?
We are playing in Best of the West, so we're going down
San
there
Diego?
March
Yeah.
7th and 8th.
That's always a great tournament.
Yeah. And they have people teams from Arizona, from Hawaii, all over coming to play. And then in April, we're going out to Clash of Titans at Punahou.
Oh, Hawaii.
Yeah, so we get to go to Hawaii. So
I might have to join you on that one.
You are welcome to.
A trip to Hawaii, I'll always be there.
Yeah, so that is something I continued on that Conti did, just because it's such a great team trip, and that's what all the boys, all the alumni still talk about is how amazing that trip is. Yes, the volleyball is also high level and it's great, but just the overall team building.
The bonding you build there is amazing. You had some good trips with Newport with Dan Glenn's teams too to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to Hawaii. We were on a 3-year rotation, I think, with Corona and Huntington. It was Hawaii, the Durango tournament in Vegas,
Chicago.
and then Chicago.
Right.
Chicago is my favorite one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I liked Hawaii, but Chicago is my favorite.
And Coach Glenn was very competitive, as always.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about or bring up? We're going to do this again soon. We're going to look at some film and break it down. But anything you would like to say as a final word?
I think just thank you for the opportunity to come talk about volleyball, continue to grow this game, especially on the boys' side. It's definitely gaining more momentum, and especially the collegiate games, the collegiate game matches, the high level. And I think that volleyball is a massive part of our, Newport community, CDM and Newport.
Yep. Very much so.
Yeah.
The boys volleyball is the fastest growing sport. High school boys volleyball is the fastest growing sport in high school for the last 10 years.
As it should be. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's a great game. I do the ESPN broadcast for the UC Irvine men's team. Mm-hmm. And so just last night, I saw UCLA. Last week, I saw Sterling and Sterling Foley and the Trojans were out to play UCI. Any chance of getting your whole team out for a game to watch that?
We're going to try. So we're going to try to go out and watch. I mean, we ended practice early for the USC game. So I think we had 90% of our varsity team there. Quite a few of our, JV athletes there as well. And so we try to go out. We have such a great location. We're right next to UCI. Unfortunately, we couldn't go to last night's game against UCLA, but I heard it was a competitive match for UCLA.
UCLA was very good.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, no, we're very fortunate to be very local to UCI and be able to attend so many of those games. And we have quite a few boys who also watch collegiate games on their own, not necessarily in person. So it's great to see. It's great to use the collegiate sport as a model for our boys of, okay, you might not be understanding what it's supposed to look like. Hey, let's, grab a video of Guy Guinness or,
somebody
outside of Flexen.
Yeah.
So any of those athletes are, hey, you should see how hard Joe Carlos plays.
Yep.
Newport alum. Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. I brought that all in.
I saw that. Yeah, that was good. Very well done. Those games are fun. The crowds are so big now, and so vocal, and it's really, really exciting, really great for young people coming up.
Definitely.
I got one last thing. Tell us about the leadership of Brogan Glenn. Now, he's going to play at UCLA next year as a libero. Comes from a long line of the 4 Glenn children. His dad coached. His mom was a counselor at Newport Harbor. What does he do for your team?
So we named Brogan captain about a month ago, just because of, he's also a coach's kid, so he gets it. He understands, we need to be early to practice 15 minutes. We're setting up the gym. He's a senior, but he's helping set up the gym. And so he really sets the tone for all of the boys. He's able to also keep all the boys in check of, when we get a little too rowdy at practice or we're not focused enough, he's able to reel them in. There are times where I have to give him a little nudge of like, hey, right now would be a great time to talk.
Well, it's interesting because he's not really a real vocal young man. He's kind of within himself.
Right.
He knows what needs to be done, but he doesn't always express that.
So we've been really pushing him this year of being more vocal. So we were doing a cross-court pepper game, and so he knew all the rules, but some of the other boys didn't. So as coaches, there are certain times we like to be hands-off to see what are the boys going to produce? How are they going to achieve that goal? How are they going to work together to achieve it? And so, Brogan called them all in and said, hey, in order to win this drill, we need to do this, this, and this.
Right.
And, we're going to have to communicate more. So it's out of his comfort zone, but he's really stepping up to the plate.
Awesome. Do I call you Katey Thompson or Katey Thompson Miller or Katey? Katey just got married.
I did in December. Yes.
I was there. There. It was great. It was awesome.
For the volleyball foreseeable future, I will be Katey Thompson. In the other aspects of my teaching, I'm Mrs. Miller. I have my students who yell at other adults who call me Miss Thompson. So I have 35 little security guards to make sure my name is said correctly.
Yes. Well, need that. Well, Katey, thank you so much for joining us. Again, as I said, we're going to watch as the season goes, come back and look at some film together and evaluate, especially around the 2 battles of the Bay.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.